Some of the world's most beautiful places are quietly being destroyed by their own popularity. Venice now charges a fee just to walk into the city on busy days. Trails in Italy are adding turnstiles. One sacred site in South America is limiting how many footsteps it allows each day. These are 10 destinations that will be ruined by tourism soon, through crowds, regulations, or sky-high prices, and how to see them before it's too late, without adding to the damage. Welcome to the List Quest, your weekly guide to the world's most incredible places and the hidden rules you need to know before you go. In this video, we're traveling from Europe to South America and into the Pacific, looking at 10 destinations that tourism is literally changing. Some for the worse. For each one, you'll see what's happening on the ground, the new rules and fees coming in, when you should go before it changes forever, and how to visit responsibly so you're part of the solution, not the problem. Stay with me till number 1. It's a place where the next wave of restrictions could lock out casual visitors completely. At number 10, Barcelona, Spain. Barcelona is the poster child for travel overload, a city where locals now march in the streets asking tourists to stay away. Visitor numbers have exploded thanks to cheap flights and cruise ships. Short-term rentals have pushed residents out of central neighborhoods. In response, the city has introduced new tourist taxes, stricter rules on Airbnbs, and is working to cap visitor numbers in certain districts. If you've dreamed of seeing Sagrada Familia or strolling La Rambla, your window is narrowing. Expect 180 to 250 euros per day in 2026 to 2027, and don't be surprised as prices and taxes inch higher. Best time to go is late March to May and late September to early November, when the Mediterranean is still kind but the summer crush has eased. Stay in less central neighborhoods like Gracia or Poble Sec and travel by metro or on foot. Most important, eat where locals eat, respect siesta hours, and book licensed accommodations only. That's how you enjoy Barcelona without helping to push it over the edge. At number 9, Dubrovnik, Croatia. Dubrovnik's walled old town looks like a fantasy world, but in high season it feels like a fantasy world crowded with 10,000 cruise ship passengers arriving before lunch. The city has already capped daily cruise numbers and is exploring stricter visitor controls inside the walls. Summer days can feel like one continuous queue for the city walls, for gelato, even for a seat in the shade. Daily costs now hover around 180 to 250 euros, especially from June to August. If you want to walk those walls while they still feel like a city and not a theme park, aim for April, May, or late September, October. Mornings before 10 a.m. and evenings after 5 p.m. are your best shot at real atmosphere. Stay at least one night rather than dropping in on a cruise. Overnight visitors support restaurants, small hotels, and local businesses more sustainably, and skip the drones and loud music. This is a living town, not a movie set. At number 8, Amsterdam, Netherlands. Amsterdam's canals used to symbolize calm. Now they symbolize a city fighting to breathe under the weight of its own popularity. The Dutch capital is adding tourist fees, restricting new hotels, limiting party cruises, and even running campaigns to deter rowdy weekenders. The historic center is crowded year-round, with daily budgets easily reaching 200 to 280 euros thanks to accommodation and dining. If you want to see Amsterdam before it feels completely sanitized or overly regulated, time your visit for November, early December, or March. Cooler months with fewer stag parties and more space in museums. Base yourself slightly outside the very center in De Pijp, Oost, or Amsterdam Noord. Get around by tram, bike, or on foot. Visit major attractions early or late in the day, and choose smaller, lesser-known museums and neighborhoods to spread your impact and your spending. At number 7, Cinque Terre, Italy. Cinque Terre looks like it was invented for Instagram. 5 pastel villages spilled down cliffs into the sea. But social media fame comes with a price. Trails between the villages are so busy that parts now require reservations and timed entry. Local authorities have discussed daily visitor caps. Trains in summer are packed, and simple guest houses can cost over 200 euros a night. If this has been on your Italian bucket list, treat the next few years as your last realistic chance to see it without strict limits. Aim for late April, May, or October. Hike early, carry your trash back with you, and consider staying in nearby towns like La Spezia or Levanto to ease housing pressure on the villages themselves. Every choice you make either helps preserve these cliffs or pushes them further toward lockdown. At number 6, Santorini, Greece. Santorini is proof that a perfect sunset can break a place. Cruise ships unload thousands of visitors a day. Cliffside hotels multiply each season, clinging to fragile rock. Infrastructure struggles under the weight of summer crowds, and hotel prices of 300 to 500 euros a night are already normal in peak months. Local authorities have floated stricter cruise caps and tighter building rules, meaning your chance to experience Santorini the way you imagine it is shrinking fast. If you must go, go smart. Late April to early June or late September to mid-October, stay more than one night. Avoid riding overloaded donkeys, choose smaller family-run properties, and consider pairing Santorini with quieter islands like Naxos or Milos to reduce your impact and come home with stories beyond the same 3 postcard angles. At number 5, Venice, Italy. Venice is the warning siren the rest of the world should be listening to. A floating city built on fragile foundations now hosts tens of millions of visitors a year, many of them day trippers who strain everything. Cruise ships have been pushed out of the historic center, and Venice has begun testing a day tripper entry fee on peak days that is likely to expand and become more expensive. If you want to wander quiet canals and hear footsteps echo through narrow alleys, sleep in Venice, travel between November and March, explore beyond San Marco into Cannaregio and Dorsoduro, budget 220 to 300 euros per day, and spend it in small cafes, artisan workshops, and local restaurants. Venice doesn't need more people. It needs better, slower guests.
At number 4, Iceland's Golden Circle and South Coast. Iceland feels like another planet. Waterfalls, black sand beaches, and steaming earth. But in the last decade, it has also become a textbook case of what happens when a tiny population meets a giant wave of visitors. Buses and rented 4x4s line the roads of the Golden Circle. Car parks overflow at iconic waterfalls and glacier lagoons. The government has begun limiting cruise ship numbers and is considering more restrictions to protect fragile landscapes. If your dream is to stand alone beside a waterfall, understand this. Near Reykjavik, alone is already rare. You'll want to go in shoulder seasons, late April, May, September, or early October, and drive beyond the usual routes, up to the West Fjords or North Iceland. Budget at least 220 to 300 euros per day once you factor in car rental, fuel, and food. Stick to marked paths, respect rope barriers, and never step on moss or off-trail lava fields. They can take decades to recover from a single footprint. The more responsibly we move here, the longer these alien landscapes will survive visitors at all. At number 3, Kyoto, Japan. Kyoto was once a whisper. Temple bells, bamboo rustling, the soft shuffle of slippers on tatami mats. Now, entire districts struggle under the weight of global tourism. Narrow lanes in Gion overflow with cameras. Some local streets are closed to tourists to protect daily life. The city has added a lodging tax and is tightening rules on short-term rentals. Certain temples are experimenting with higher fees and restricted access hours. If you want to experience Kyoto as more than a backdrop, go in late winter or early spring before cherry blossom, or late autumn after peak foliage. Avoid crowd magnets at their busiest. Fushimi Inari shrines and Arashiyama's bamboo grove at midday, and prioritize smaller temples and local neighborhoods. Stay in a ryokan or small guest house, use public transit, and learn simple etiquette. No photographing geisha without permission, no loud conversations in residential alleys. Cover tattoos in some baths and shrines. Kyoto doesn't need more photos. It needs more thoughtful visitors. At number 2, Machu Picchu, Peru. Machu Picchu is balancing on a knife's edge between wonder and where. This Inca citadel clings to a mountain ridge that was never meant to welcome thousands of footsteps a day. To protect it, Peru has introduced daily visitor caps, timed entry slots, one-way walking routes, and, in many cases, mandatory licensed guides. Additional restrictions are being discussed as erosion and damage continue. If you've always imagined that first glimpse between the stone terraces, treat the next few years as your opportunity. Book at least 3 to 6 months ahead for high season. Aim for April to May or September to October. Clearer skies, fewer crowds than peak June to August. Expect budgets around $120 to $200 per day once you include trains, buses, entry tickets, and a night in Aguas Calientes or the Sacred Valley. Choose slower itineraries with extra days acclimatizing. Use refillable bottles and stay on marked paths. Every rail, rope, and rule up there exists because millions of us want that same view. And the mountain is tired.
At number 1, Galápagos Islands, Ecuador.
The Galápagos are the ultimate look but don't touch destination, a living laboratory that inspired Darwin himself. And that's exactly why the world is closing in around it. These islands operate under some of the strictest tourism rules on Earth. Mandatory park fees, licensed naturalist guides, limited visitor sites, and caps on how many people can land on each beach or trail at a time. Authorities are constantly reviewing and tightening these limits as cruise ships, yachts, and land-based tourism all compete for space. If the world continues to love the Galápagos too hard, expect even stricter quotas, fewer landing sites, and higher prices that push casual travelers out, leaving only small numbers of very high-end visitors. Right now, you can still see blue-footed boobies dance, marine iguanas bask, and sea lions nap on benches, if you're willing to follow the rules. Budget is serious here. $350 to $600 per day is realistic once you factor in flights from mainland Ecuador, park fees, and guided boat or cruise itineraries. If you go once, and go right. Travel with companies that prioritize conservation, keep your distance from wildlife, never feed animals, and pack out everything you bring. The future of these islands depends on whether visitors treat them like a zoo or a sacred privilege. Tourism can save places, but it can also smother them. Venice, Kyoto, Santorini, Machu Picchu, the Galápagos. These aren't just items on a checklist. They're fragile chapters of human and natural history. If any of these spots are on your bucket list, start planning now, with shoulder seasons, longer stays, and more respectful choices. Travel insurance, advanced bookings, and responsible tour operators matter more than ever as rules tighten and costs climb. Tell me in the comments, which of these 10 would you visit first? And which place do you worry about most? And if you want to stretch your money while you still can, your next stop should be 10 countries where $100 feels like $1,000 in 2026. Tap it on screen, hit subscribe to the List Quest, and let's keep exploring this planet without breaking it.